How's it going, guys? So the Premier League is back. The first game week has just finished, and I would like to commend the 16 teams involved on contributing towards what was a wholly entertaining few days of football. It's only been 1 week, and we've already had a 7-goal thriller, a hat-trick hero, some amazing debuts, and of course, a perfect start to the season for Chelsea. And at the end of it all, this is what the league table looks like. As you can see, pretty much all of the clubs that you would expect to have a strong season have come out all guns blazing. The only exception being Spurs, who were absolutely woeful in their defeat to Everton. And of course the two Manchester clubs, who haven't played yet due to their previous commitments in Europe, allowing for them to have a longer break than the rest of the teams. I'll be hoping to make videos like this following every game week, but I think it's important to say that it's not going to be me sitting here just listing off what happened in every single game. Honestly, this is because I don't want to talk about Crystal Palace's drab 1-0 victory over Southampton any more than I think you want to listen to it. Since the only interesting thing that happened in that game was VAR actually being used well to overturn Kyle Walker-Peters' red card. Although I did have Wilfried Zaha in my fantasy team, so cheers for that, Wilf. Anyway, with that in mind, let's have a look at who is flying high at the end of this game week. Initially, I was going to give this accolade to both teams sitting at the top of the table, with both of them recording 3-0 wins away to newly promoted sides. However, since they simply looked a different class while on the pitch, I decided to give the award to Arsenal. Things are looking good for the Gunners. They've started the new season with a bang, main man Aubameyang was on the score sheet, and it's surely only a matter of time before his new contract is announced. With this performance following their result against Liverpool in the Community Shield, maybe I wrote Mikel Arteta's side out of the race for a spot in Europe a bit too hastily. But it's still only early days. So while one team will always finish the week flying high, there'll also always be one who dropped the ball. And for me, this week, that team is West Brom. A lot of people have the Baggies as their favourite to get relegated this season. And if they want to prove those people wrong, they'll have to scalp points from teams in the top half of the table whenever they get half a chance. While Fulham were simply outclassed by Arsenal from first minute to last, West Brom definitely had a chance in this game given how lethargic their opponents looked for the first half an hour or so. They failed to take advantage, however, and the Foxes' stronger second half showing saw them slump to a 3-0 defeat. A dismal start to life back in the Premier League, but the only plus side for them is that the only way to go from here is up. Next up is our shock of the week. The Premier League is usually full of surprises, and while this week had no obvious candidates, I've decided to go for Everton beating Spurs by 1-0. Jose Mourinho usually wins his opening game of a season, and Everton usually lose when they go away to a Big Six club, so this was already a bit of a surprise. But the real shock lay in the performances. Ancelotti started all three new boys, Alan, Doucouré and James Rodriguez, and all three already look like they've been part of that squad for months, while the starting 11 on the whole really looked like a team that should be competing for a European place. Meanwhile, I imagine Jose Mourinho will be absolutely furious with his players. If he were allowed to make 11 substitutes, he probably would have made 10, since Hugo Lloris didn't do much wrong, but 10's still a lot. His players pretty much offered nothing in attack, and any attempts they made to put pressure on the ball while Everton were in possession was done at walking pace. Carlo Ancelotti's men could easily have added another goal or two to the scoreline, and he'll be hoping that they can build on this performance. Meanwhile, I imagine the only thing Mourinho will be glad of is that this season there's no cameras in the dressing room to witness him murdering Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. The final award to give out, if you can call being told you dropped the ball an award, is to the week's shining star, essentially my player of the week. While there were a few worthy candidates, Willian for his part in all of Arsenal's goals, and Jamie Vardy's immaculate penalties and inspired performance dragging his team to victory against West Brom, I'm afraid those two miss out. At the end of the day, a Premier League hat-trick is always worthy of recognition, so my shining star this week is Mo Salah. His 3 goals led his team to victory against Leeds, who 100% proved that they can compete at this level. Still, in the end, 3 points went to Liverpool, so fair play to them and to Salah, but let's hope he can't repeat the trick next week against Chelsea. Speaking of Chelsea, the final part of this video will be dedicated to them. While the result was a great one, for large parts of the game, our play was not so great. Reece James's wonder goal provided us with a get-out-of-jail-free card, but we can't be relying on something like that every match. In a week where many debutants excelled, ours did not. Havertz never really got into the game, which is understandable considering he only signed for the club about a week ago. Werner was a bit better, he looked lively, but he looked a bit too desperate to get his first goal, so hopefully that goal does come soon before that desperation gets a bit too much. I don't know, maybe the pressure of playing last got to our players with all of the other top clubs recording victories in their first matches, but what I do know is that the performance is going to have to be a much more solid one against Liverpool if we want to get anything from that match. With all that being said, lads, it's great to have the Premier League back, but it's time to wrap this up. Don't forget to comment your thoughts down below, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.